Since the dawn of time, getting photos that were not taken for websites has always been a huge challenge to get them shoehorned into our website design. Okay, at least since the dawn of web design. One thing that we found is that no matter how we plan and prepare for a project, there'll always be that curveball where a client will say to us, I've got a new photo from the manufacturer that's perfect for us, and we're going to put it into the website. We're going to put it into that large hero unit that we've designed, and it just doesn't fit. Why, oh why can't we just use the placeholder content that we used at the very first concept? But the life of a web designer is not like that. Well-worn designers like myself are used to constantly balancing the task of creating the best version of the website we can, but using content at our disposal. Often, this is provided to us by our clients. Now, the larger the organization you work with, the more opportunities you have. But for someone like myself, who's spent 20 years specializing in working with small and micro businesses, that's a challenge. Getting professional magazines type photography that's built for that letterbox mode of a website is extremely difficult. If you're a seasoned web designer, you'll know exactly what I mean. If not, let me take a moment to illustrate what I mean. A photographer I've worked closely with for a huge chunk of those 20 years will often refer to photos as web hero photos or filler photos. Now, what he means is that filler photos aren't necessarily filler in other purposes, but when it comes to the website, you fill the content with those images. The main object, person or animal, would fill to the edges of the photo. We'd have a little bit of white space or negative space around our main focus, but the focus is on that one main entity. Normally, it would be in the middle of the photo. A portrait's a really good example of this. Have you ever tried fitting a portrait into a website banner? Not a great fit. But what if I was to say that with thanks to AI and Adobe Photoshop in this case, this is no longer the problem it used to be? I'm talking about the AI content-aware tool that's been introduced into Adobe Photoshop in 2023. And today, I'm going to take a few moments to talk you through this tool and how we can extend those portrait images to turn them into website banners. I'm actually really excited to have a look at this one. We've also got this covered in more detail in our AI for Web Designers course, which is available on Udemy and Pixelhaze Academy. Head over and check them out. And this approach will work regardless of the website platform you build on. So whether that's Squarespace, hosting a website builder, my two favorites, but I'll leave the choice of platform down to you. I think we've had enough of an introduction. Let's crack on with this week's workshop. So first of all, let's set the scene with the problem that we have. And those eagle-eyed amongst you will know that this is not Dexter Schoeffler. We'll go with that. Creative director. It is instead our very own technical lead, Will Hammond. And I picked this photo because I know this is a relatively medium to high resolution image, but also this is not just any old foliage in the background. It's got the stone bridge of our hometown in Built Wells. I'm really intrigued to see how this works. This could be an absolute train wreck. So I thought I'd pick this one to go with. And if I look very silly, you probably won't even see this video. What we're going to do is take a photo out of this environment, and it works really well here. We can see it's framed nicely. If anything, maybe we could bring a closer shot on Will's head and bring it closer in, but that would be more artistic choice than technical requirement. We could alternatively go into the section here and choose to make Will the background image. And if we do this, we can see it's a portrait image. My gut feeling is not going to look great. And there we have it. So we just have Will's chest with text that you can't read over top of it, and we've made an utter mess of it. So now let's head over into Photoshop and see with a bit of tweaking if we can fix this. The one thing I'm going to do is switch the text around. This is actually a trial site I built off one of the Hostinger templates for our Moonshot Launchpad course, and I thought I'd just repurpose it for this video as well. Environmentally friendly and economical and all that. What we're going to do is have Will offset here if we can, if this all goes to plan. So we could do it with the image here, but that's not the effect that we're after because we need to get rid of this background image because it just looks, well, quite frankly, a bit weird. No offense, Will. Before jumping into the next steps, I thought I'd share with you Hostinger and its wonderful hosting plans. We've got the pricing table here, and even the business plan works out at £3.49 per month. And you might think that's just for one website, but that's up to 100 websites per account. From someone who's come from a Squarespace background, this is an amazing deal. We'd be looking at 3 to 4 times this price just for one hosting plan. There's also a huge feature list, so whether you want to host WordPress websites or use the Hostinger website builder, which includes an AI builder as well. If we jump into the add to the cart option, we only need a 12-month contract to get the price at £3.99 per month. If we jump onto the 48-month option, we can have further savings. So if you're looking to host multiple websites for 4 years at £167.52, that is an amazing option, saving £552. And if you're unsure as to whether the Hostinger website builder can do what you need, our Hostinger Box of Tricks course covers everything to get up and running with this website builder platform. Just be sure to use the Pixelhaze 10 discount code and the link in the description. That'll help us to continue to create free content. Back to the video. So we're going to remove that photo and we're going to just focus on replacing this one. So we're going to head over to Photoshop and I've got an image loaded up here already. And what we're going to do now is use, so it's better off zooming out, the crop tool and now dragging the edges across. If you don't use Photoshop, there are other tools that will have similar effects, but at the moment, Adobe Photoshop has the best content-aware tools. Likewise, if you're on older versions of Adobe Photoshop, I don't think you'll have this feature because it launched this year, and I dare say Adobe are reserving this for subscribers to Adobe Creative Cloud, which will cost you one of your arms. But if you're designing every day, I would say it's worth it. So now we've got that widened. What I'm trying to do is get a balance so Will is offset to the right. So we have the negative space here for the text to go over top of. So let's go with that. Nice wide banner. And this, as I mentioned, could be an utter mess. And one thing that works really well is once it's loaded one, it actually creates two alternatives, variations, as we can see them loading here. And usually one of them is close enough. Okay, that one's not great. We can see it hasn't really recognized the bridge very well. That one's better. That looks quite good, actually, I think. There might be a little bit to do here just to maybe even blur out or just fade that background. But as we can see, we could put a text block over top of this. We might even have to put it with a backdrop or in a card effect. Let's have a look at option 3. That bridge is kind of going nowhere. So option 2 it is. And what we can do now is choose whether we're going to go light or dark. And what I'm going to do is add another effect. But first of all, I'm going to flatten the image so it combines the AI created content as well as our original photo. Will looks very happy there. And we're going to create just a white at around the edge. So I'm just going for a really large brush size with a low flow. So that will allow us just to paint in a lighter backdrop. As you can see, it's almost like it's burning out the edges here, but it's just a softer fill. So all of the imperfections that the AI has created here will be gone, but we have been able to successfully repurpose the image. An alternative, I could have gone in and fine-tuned it, look for any imperfections or any issues that didn't look quite right in that stone bridge on the other side of the river. But ultimately, we want quite a bit of text behind it, so I have to be careful about not having it too busy behind the text, because one of the most important things is making sure that text is legible. So I might just add a little bit on the right-hand side here. You might think that I've ruined this banner by applying this effect, but we'll just wait and see now to see how it comes out in the final design. You could be right. So we can see white background here. And as we can see now, it's starting to zoom in. We've got a really high resolution image, high resolution than I remember. So I think we're going to go for 2000 pixels width by 812 height. And about 70 quality. We want a bit of compression on there. 182 kilobytes. I could go smaller and I could use something like compressor.io, which is my favorite online compression website. Just save the image. Now we're going to head back to Hostinger and now we're going to edit that section and upload the new image. With that selected, we select our will, and now we have a structure that's far more in line with what we want. Could I have another option? I could crop that even further before uploading. If I was to apply the fixed background, we'll have that parallax effect, and that doesn't quite work with a headshot photo, but it would work if it was just a scenic backdrop, and he wouldn't forgive me if I didn't put his name in there. So there we go. New website for Will. This could be a really nice header for a About Us team member page. The way that's faded in from the left now just blends it in nicely, in keeping with the rest of the look of the site, and just a more dynamic effect. That's everything I wanted to cover today. By all means, go and have a play around with it. come back to us and leave a message with how you've been getting on. I'd love to hear what you've been trying using these new Adobe Content Aware tools, especially through the lens of web design. I think it's really opened up the number of opportunities that we have. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Cheers.